Hello, namaste. It's Leanne Peters here. I'm from templeofbalance.com.au, Temple of Balance on Facebook and Temple of Balance on YouTube. And I'm here for our 5th in the chakra series. So this is number 5 of 7. And I trust I'm coming through in the right place. Am I in the right place? This looks like a bit of a different stream. Hello. Corey, could you confirm I'm in the right place, please? The stream looks different. So welcome. I will just proceed until Corey lets me know. But I'm here to share the 5th of the chakra series. So this is the throat chakra. Hello. This is the 5th of the 7 major chakras. Oh, it's all good. I think Facebook changed the layout, so it looks like I'm streaming on a page instead of a group, which is usually a bit different. So it's all good by the sound of it. So it's the throat chakra now. I'll be streaming for the next 40, 50, 60 minutes, depends how long we need, on the throat. And we'll dive in deeply into this center. It's definitely the center that it's probably been my biggest challenge and obstacle, but also the biggest one that I've really worked hard on improving throughout my whole life. So the throat chakra is certainly a big one to explore. So I'm very excited to be diving in deeply to the throat chakra today. So the throat chakra sits here at our throat. It does have a front and a back. So the front of the throat chakra is here, and the back of the throat chakra is just simply at the back of our neck, back here. So, hello. So remembering that any back issues around the back of this particular area, so we'd be thinking back of neck issues, will probably come back to past stuff connecting with the throat chakra. So the throat chakra is the vortex, that vortexes out from the front and also out from the back, and it's sort of, I imagine the smaller part of the vortex sits right in the gland or right in the very center of our throat chakra, which is actually inside our skin. So it's not just here on the outside, that's just sort of the start of the opening of the vortex, if you like. So it sits deep in our throat chakra. It's probably one we can feel, or I know for me, one that's very, we're very able to feel it in the throat chakra. As we're communicating and talking, our voice can change. We can get that tickly cough. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but I know in the past, especially years ago, not so much lately, but if I was in a group situation and I really had to say something, even though I was scared to say it, I could not say. So sometimes I would speak up and it would sound like my voice was shaking and like I was about to cry or something, which I wasn't about to. I was just really, really nervous. So also when we swallow, we can feel like we have a sort of a lump in our throat sometimes. And it really is the place where we sort of swallow down our words. And see, as I'm talking, because we're focusing on the throat chakra, I'm probably going to have some funny things going on in my throat too, because this is part of the energy shifting. So it's part of the moving energy that we're very interested, or I'm very interested in connecting with today during this focus. So the throat chakra is usually, we can feel it pretty physically for the most part, or in some instances throughout our life and in certain conversations. The throat chakra is our center for communication, expression, and truth, and feeling safe to be ourselves, but safe to sit in or understand who we really are. So when we go on those quests for self-discovery, the quests for truth, quests for life, you know, what's this thing called life all about? These quests about, okay, who am I? What is my identity? How can I identify myself? all these things usually come back to the throat chakra. So this is sort of our questing center too, where we want more, where we're looking for more meaning to ourselves and our life. So it usually vibrates at the color frequency of blue. So you can think of your blue colors. Blue scarves are great for around the neck, and also blue pendants, because they really sit right there, very close to the throat chakra. So if you're needing courage to speak up, you might go for, say, a yellow scarf or something bright that brings your personal power and your confidence that we learnt from the solar plexus chakra up into your throat chakra. You might also want to calm your throat down if you feel a bit tense or unclear about what words you need to say in a certain situation. You might find a nice blue calming scarf to wear around your neck, just to sort of hold that area in that space of support. So also your blue crystals, like, oh, I didn't bring a crystal over today. Oh, well, I'm wearing one, aren't I? Azurite. Don't know if you can see it. This is beautiful Australian azurite with a Herkimer diamond there. I made for myself for my birthday several years ago. So I thought it was a great idea to get that out. So we've got things like azurite, lapis lazuli or lapis lazuli is great for the throat and the third eye. So I'll probably talk about that too next time. We've also got stones like blue kyanite, sodalite is blue. That's all that's coming to mind right now, but you get the idea. Your blue sort of crystals will help support your throat chakra. And again, like I said last time, if you don't have any blue stones, there are quite a lot of them, but if you don't have any, you can always go back to your quartz, your clear quartz. Now, as far as healing energy cards, there's not actually a lot of throat chakra ones in here. There are some coming up in the new deck. We've got bridge between the heart and throat. So that's about communicating from our heart rather than from our mental space. So from our insecurities, perhaps. I'll just see if there's any others. This is another one that's very much associated with the throat chakra. It's stillness. So this is reminding us about balancing our communication. It's not just about speaking or pushing our words and our beliefs onto others. It's also balancing that with listening. So listening and knowing when to speak up is also important with the throat chakra. So stillness, card 26, is certainly a throat chakra connection. I'll just see what else. I always think of this one too, connecting with the throat. Maybe it's all the blues and this kind of blue that wraps around here towards her throat chakra. Hello. So cycles of change is another one for the throat. Are there any others? I think too, the inner child we could also associate with the throat from the perspective of coming out of hiding, going on our explorations, our quest, our search for meaning, if you like, which can certainly come through inner child work. So that could also be connected. It's probably the self-searching. We could connect that to the throat chakra. Truth, definitely. So our truth, connecting with the throat. And that's those. And any other healing tools that you like to work with. Remind yourself you have these, especially when you need them the most, which is when we tend to forget. So the throat chakra, the good old throat. So I think of, when I think back on my life, so I'm 43, so I've had 43 years of living. And I know that my throat has been my biggest challenge that I've overcome probably throughout my whole life. I remember being a young, I'm the eldest of 4 girls, and I remember being a young, in my mid-teens. Actually, when my menstrual cycle first started, so early in my teens, and I felt really suppressed, and I had a lot that I wanted to say, but I didn't feel like I could say it in a safe place where it wasn't being told or spread around to other people. So I learnt very early on that I had to keep myself suppressed what I really wanted to say and express, because I didn't feel safe to speak it. And it's not that I was being attacked, it just felt like there was a lot of gossiping happening. So a specific person that I might open up to, who was probably the closest person around, would, just bring it up everywhere when it felt very private to me. So I think for me, I really suppressed my words back then because I didn't feel safe to be myself, and I didn't feel safe to speak up and say what I needed to say. So I've noticed throughout my journey that the safer we feel in our relationships, whether it's our closest lover relationships or extended relationships, but those people really close to us, close to our heart, if we don't feel safe with them to be ourselves and say anything to them, then we're going to hold back. And also in certain settings, so it might be in the home at some point, or it might be around the workplace, or it might be in the extended family, and areas like larger areas that aren't quite so intimate, where we might not feel particularly safe or accepted for who we are. So when we do that, we tend to shut down in our throat chakra, unless we're starting to feel more comfortable and confident in ourselves. Then we know that we don't need to hide anything. We might not go blurting out all the stuff that we believe in, or all the stuff that we sense and all the stuff that we feel at the time. We might not want to have verbal diarrhea and speak it all in our extended family situation, or a gathering of sorts, if you like, in the extended family. So we might not, speak it, but at the same time we're not suppressing it because we feel more confident and comfortable in our skin and with who we are. So as we get more comfortable in ourselves with our voice, we can be okay to be in a quiet space and not turn that into a suppression, if you like. So for me then, as I grew up a little bit more, so as I got a little bit older, so from my 11 or 12, and I can clearly remember that, me swallowing my words down and feeling very unconfident and very unsure about myself around that time period. Also around that time period, I was in high school, and in high school I remember dozens of instances where it came time to present a project in front of my class, in front of my peers, and I couldn't do it. And it's not like I just froze in fear. There was either one of two things would happen. That day I wouldn't have a voice. I literally had no voice. I lost my voice so many times around that time period, where I actually literally could not speak. So that was sort of a weakness too in my body, was this always losing my voice. Then I didn't have to speak, did I? And if I still hadn't happened to have my voice on these particular days I'd be presenting a project, I'd work so hard on my project, I'd feel so confident, I'd do so much research, and I loved the creating element of making posters and presentations and things. But when it came to speaking it, I would freak out. So if I did manage to have a voice and I'd stand up in front of the class to present my project on clouds or something, or weather, or whatever the project was, I would burst into laughter and wouldn't be able to stop. So I'd have tears running down my face. I just was so nervous. So I would do, that's what my body would do in the fear of speaking up. So I had a really loud suppression of my voice. I didn't feel comfortable speaking, and I didn't feel comfortable. I think the biggest thing I didn't feel comfortable with was translating my deep feeling, because I'm a deep feeler, my deep feeling into words. I didn't know language that well, and I didn't know how to step, because it felt like a huge step, go between my inner feelings and my inner world to an outer expression through speaking. So a project, I was just reading from research, so that's fine, I guess. At the time I was very unconfident, but then as I got a little bit older, I started to see that actually this was bigger than that, and it was really hard for me to say how I felt to another person, and especially to a group of people. So, it's been a big, huge learning for me my whole life, this throat chakra stuff, and expressing and feeling more comfortable speaking. I think feeling more comfortable with my voice. I think for a long time too, I didn't like my voice. I didn't like the sound or the vibration of it, but I've come to accept that this is a when the words come out properly, it's a unique part of who I am. Like it's a unique part of who you are, our fingerprint, our footprint, our voice. These are all very unique qualities that make us who we are. So if I'm not comfortable with my voice and the tone of it and the sound of it and what I have to say, then I'm not really comfortable with myself. So as I became more comfortable and got to know myself better and deeper, I started accepting and appreciating, I don't know if I'd say loving, but certainly not rejecting my voice. Because this is a big part of the way I communicate. So as I got older, this is more into my late teens, early 20s, I started to realize that I had a really hard time of saying how I felt. So I would turn to sarcasm a lot. But that runs in my family. So I grew up with a father very sarcastic. So I saw that as a way of communicating, which I later realized wasn't healthy either. So in my late teens, I started my hairdressing apprenticeship for 4 years, and that gave me an increased sense of confidence in myself and an increased sense of assertiveness. So I didn't freeze up so much in the company of other people. So this then, from there I started growing more and more in my confidence of speaking and saying how I felt. And the big, huge, important step for me in translating my depth of feeling, I'm such a deep feeler, and when I think back, I thought that was pretty normal for everyone, but I think I had, at the time when I was younger, a really deep sense of feeling that was just like an ocean. And how can you really adequately describe something in words? Something that's so deep and so vast. So what I noticed, especially as I started opening up more spiritually and started going on my self-healing journey, I started journal writing, and I've been journal writing for nearly 20 years. My goodness. I just finished a journal actually this morning, so I'm going to get another one. But journal writing has been so essential because I found it gave my feelings a voice, and it wasn't a voice that, I had a lot of miscommunication, I think, too, in those earlier years for me, where I didn't adequately express how I really felt. I thought I was, but it was being misunderstood. Maybe I wasn't expressing it quite right, or I couldn't quite find the right words, but there was a lot of misunderstanding or misinterpreting what I was trying to communicate too. So the safest place for me to explore my feelings and put words to them was in my journal. So that means I can sit with how I feel, and I still do it to this day. In fact, just half an hour ago, I was journal writing quite a lot. So I can sit in my feeling and I can just feel it for a moment. And then I can feel, okay, if I was to describe this, how would I put it into words? So then in my journal, I might write down whatever it is that might represent how I'm feeling at the time. Sometimes it won't even be something I can put into words still, which is, I think, is why I'm so expressive with my art, because I find that I can express a feeling, a depth of feeling, through creating that is not boxed into a language, because I still feel the language quite limiting. But the journal has definitely been an important stepping stone. So as I became more confident in, okay, this is how I feel because I'm connecting with it, I'm writing it down in my own private reflective way, then I became clearer as far as language goes about describing the different feelings that I have. So then that allowed me to go to the next step, which is being able to sit here unscripted. I've just got a few notes to remind me that we're talking about the throat chakra. And when the date is for the next one, that's all I've got here in front of me. So I'm really, I guess, when I look back, I feel quite proud of myself when I see how and connect with how I used to be, that 11-year-old, so suppressed and so scared, so unable to speak up. And the different steps that I've taken on this journey to really strengthen my throat, to get to a point here now where I'm talking here to you in an open way that is totally an expression of what I'm feeling and what I've experienced. Because there was a time just a couple of decades ago where there's no way I could do this. So when I first started streaming on internet radio podcasts back probably 10 years ago maybe, I used to have everything scripted. I had everything pre-written out. Of course, it wasn't visual, so I didn't have anyone looking at me, so that was good. But it was a good next step for me because I just had my microphone on and I could have the script in front of me and I could just follow the script. So that was the next stage for me, just following the script. And then as I started trusting myself more and building my own confidence in myself, then I transitioned, started doing more videos, and now I can sit here just completely trusting. And, you know, it's been a journey, this throat chakra. So I think, you know, looking back, there's been lots of, you know, connecting with communication, expressing how I feel. Creativity has also come up around the throat chakra and building my confidence. But really it comes back to the truth of who I am. So as I've stripped back, as I've had the courage to strip back layers of myself that I've been hiding behind, it's allowed me to grow in confidence and feel a sense of meaning and a sense of connection with what I'm doing, what I'm sharing, how I feel at the time. And I feel safe to do this. Even doing, you know, in some cases, doing this very publicly with my peers around, which is something I've noticed lately. People that don't know I do this sort of thing. Family members have started watching my videos. And as scary as that can be in the moment I see they're watching, you know, I just sort of have to put it aside. So I think in my nature, I'm more driven than I am scared of saying something. So I can think back and see lots of instances where I've been scared to say something, like in those group situations I was talking about before. But I have to say something. I can't not say it. Just like I actually can't lie. It just doesn't work for me. So not that I'd want to, but, you know, if there was any little thing, just in a life thing that, you know, I'd have to lie about, I actually can't do it. So, yeah, I think living the truth and expressing how I feel has become really important to me. So the biggest issue I see around the throat chakra, obviously it's a very personal chakra for me, as I've been sharing my personal story, which I don't know that I've really done on many of the others. So this is a very personal connection I have with the throat. It's been a journey, this throat chakra. But the biggest issue, I'm asking myself the question, what's the biggest issue I see around the throat chakra? And it's probably is suppression, a gagging. I connect with a lot of people who have like a gag or a rope or something sort of energetically tied around their throat. And it quite often feels like a suppression. So a suppression of our truth, a suppression of how we feel. And I think it's really important to realize that, again, and I've brought it up a little bit previously in this sharing, is that it's not just about verbal expression. So, for example, if we haven't, or for me, if I have an issue, a specific issue with someone, because I might not like what they're doing, or I might not like their behavior or something about them that I just don't resonate with. It's not, unless it's someone really, really close to me or something I'm having to deal with often, like someone around me every day pretty much, I will actually usually not say anything to them, because it's not up to me to decide that that person's not the right person. You know, I'm having a reaction because there's something in me that's been triggered. So, you know, I have to learn to accept that person for who they are, whether, you know, whatever they choose to do, that's their choice. It's not my responsibility. My responsibility is looking at my triggers and why I'm so irritated by this person. So instead of having an issue and expressing it and blurting it out to this person because they're a liar or they're this or they're just not a nice person in my opinion, that is not really a way for me. It doesn't work for me in expressing and shifting that energy or mending that issue. The issue will always come back to me. So if I've got a trigger about something, if someone's really bugging me, or this life situation is really testing me right now, but yet someone else close to me might not even notice it, there's something that's been triggered in me, my own wound, my own insecurity, my own fear. So instead of expressing it to the specific person and creating a disagreement or tension, I will always look at how can I connect with this myself, and how can I express this then in a safe way that gets that energy out. So remember, expression is getting energy out, and it doesn't have to be defined by verbal words. So it might be, for me, if I specifically have an issue with someone from my past or whatever, I will usually get a piece of paper and I'll write to whoever with their name, and I'll write down everything I'm angry about what I've seen, what I've noticed, what they've done to me, how they've hurt someone I love, whatever it might be. Whether it's right or wrong, it's how I really feel at the time. So I'll express and get all that out. I'll have tears, I'll be angry, and it will pass. And then as it passes, that letter, that expression is done. So I'm never going to give it to the person, ever. Because this is my stuff. It's my reflection of what I'm noticing, what they're triggering in me. It's up to them to work out their own stuff. So I'm expressing it and getting it out instead of suppressing it down and being angry and bitter about it for years and years. I'm getting those feelings, the real, raw, honest feelings that I feel in the moment, out through writing this letter. And then there's a few different ways that I'll release it. So expression, and then I want to release what I've written. So ways I've released in the past, I haven't done this for a while because I don't tend to have these types of issues anymore. But I have folded it up, put it in an envelope, not addressed to the person, not addressed to anyone, but just simply the act of sending it, the act of putting it in the post box. Sorry, posties, you probably won't like me saying this if you're a post person and watching this. But I actually put it in the mailbox, and that to me is a sign of, okay, this burden is released. I'm not carrying it now. You can also burn your paper. I throw mine off the cliff in my healing place and release it into nature. So we can express in different ways. We don't have to always verbalize our issues with the person that we have an issue with. To me, that would be a last resort. So if it's someone close to me that I'm having an issue with, if I can't work it out myself and I'm still having the issues, then I might bring it up. But I don't want to cause unnecessary tension because it's my stuff. So other ways of expressing, so getting the energy out, the emotions out, the anger out, the hurt out, the issues out. So writing, verbalizing can be a way, but it doesn't have to be the only way. We might talk to a friend, talk to a counsellor. We might go out into nature by ourselves and just talk it through. We can create. So creating is a great way of expressing ourselves through movement, music, art, cooking, making things, inventing things, things that we create are a great way of expressing too. So the biggest issue I see around the throat is suppression And the best way to combat that is to express it. Express it in some way that's safe, that's healthy, and that helps get those bottled up energies and issues and hurts out. Yeah, let's go to our healing time. So I'm really excited. Whoops, let's just reject that. I'm very excited. I recently bought this crystal, quartz crystal symbol. It's coloured. So it's connected with the throat chakra. It vibrates at the throat chakra's vibration, which is E, F, G, G, G. It vibrates at G if you're a piano on a, keys on a piano. So very excited to be playing that today. So I'll be playing our throat chakra bowl. Let's pull a healing energy card and just see. I want to look for a card for our focus today. My voice is changing. So we have got energy shifting in our throat. So shifting old wounds that we haven't been suppressed, that we haven't been expressing. And also thinking about how safe we feel in different parts of our life or our different relationships to be ourselves. Also perhaps thinking about any quest that you may feel that you're on right now to find meaning or find a sense of belonging or find your truth. Remembering that questing outside of ourselves is like following a carrot that's been dangled in front of us. So it's always good to turn our questing inward and look inside for the truth that we're seeking, for the truth of who we are, to step forward. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so the best healing energy card for our healing time for the throat is this. Now, what I'm feeling before I look at this card, not that it's probably even connected, but what I'm feeling right now as we prepare to go into this healing time is a massive amount of support. A massive amount of support and love that's coming through around the throat. This is, like I say, quite a big, massively sometimes for some of us, suppressed area. An area that we feel unconfident with or uncomfortable with. So I feel a lot of support and strength coming through. Soothing, card 52. So this is beautiful because it does bring support. It says, I'll read this, it says emotional exploration. So even though we know from the chakra work that we've already done that the emotional center is our sacral chakra just below our navel, the emotions need to be expressed. So they're going to be expressed usually by rising up through the body, which is what I talked about, I think, in the sacral chakra connection, that the nauseous feeling when we're connected with energy is actually really normal because it means the energy from our belly is wanting to rise up and be expressed through the throat. So we might think of through the voice, we might make sounds, we might use our breathing to help express and release. So our out breath and let go. Or just simple expression, so like I was talking about before. So exploring our emotions, having the courage to see them and having the courage to let them rise up so we can express them. That's what the throat chakra is about. It says, welcome contentment into your heart and life. Stabilize your emotions. Play, dance, laugh and sing. They're all expressions. Ways of expressing ourselves, to play, to dance, to laugh, to sing. Singing's a great way of opening the throat chakra, I can tell you that. To allow peace inside. It says heart healing and opening and love. So really, any of the issues that we've already faced, whether it's through the base chakra, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, for these issues to now be stirred up, it's going to be through the throat chakra that they're expressed. It's going to be through the throat chakra, most likely, that they are released. Because we stir things up, bring them to the surface. If we're not going to look at them, if we're not going to explore them, express them, release them, they're just going to settle back down. So it's like if we had a bowl of water and some residue was sitting on the bottom, and we got a spoon and we stirred it all up, and all those little flakes started floating to the top. Well, they're just going to sit there and end up settling back down if we don't grab a spoon and scoop them out. So it's like that with the throat chakra. So really everything that goes on in our whole body is filtered, at least the lower chakras below this, are all filtered through the throat chakra. So it's almost like this is our center of, what would you say? You know, I'm sort of thinking of the word expression, but it's so much more than that. It's almost our center of being. And there's so much more that it's very difficult to find a word to describe it right now. So you may want to imagine this as your throat chakra, held like a chalice, a bowl with water in it perhaps. And we'll just let some old stuff, maybe stuff that's already been stirring recently with our other chakra focuses, let that stuff come up. It will tickle our throat. It will be like tickly hairs or those floaties in water when we drink water and it sort of sits and tickles in our throat. It's going to be normal to feel quite tickly. I feel tickly here myself because we've brought energy up to the surface. So if our whole body here was a bowl, we've stirred up the pot. We've got flaky bits coming up here now. So now it's about releasing, expressing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use this singing bowl, and we are going to give ourselves permission to take those little tickly bits out. So how will we do that? Will I talk us through it? Yeah, I think I'll talk us through it. So take a nice deep breath, and if you don't follow what I'm saying, if you're doing your own thing, that's totally fine. Please do your own thing if that's what you're inspired to do. So enjoy. This is my first time playing this singing bowl in a video, so I'm very excited. So feel the energy touch your throat, and I'll talk us through a little bit too. So nice big breath. So your breathing's going to be really important. So nice big breath in, feel your throat really fill up, and breathe out and allow yourself to release. So just find your center, take some deep breaths. So feel the bowl and the sound loosening up any residual energy or issues, any suppressed emotion, anything at all that you're ready to release now. Feel it stir up in your whole body. And feel it come to the surface to pop up through the water, if you like, to your throat area. And find yourself a tool, something you can use like a spoon, to scoop out all these little flakes and bits and pieces that float up to the surface. Imagine you've got a spoon or something else more appropriate to you, and you're pulling off all these things, pulling out of the water these flaky old bits of energy. yourself to let these things go. Use your out breath to help support your release. And feel the love and support and safety coming in, supporting you and helping you realize that it's safe for you to express yourself, and it's safe for you to release all the things that are holding you back. Love your powerful voice. Hear your unique voice. Love your unique voice. Let your voice be a way of helping you get to know who you are. Speak with confidence, honesty, and emotion. Bathe in your throat chakra. Imagine yourself now getting into your throat chakra like it's a hot spring, and it's clear of all those floaties now that you've been pulling out and removing. So you get into this hot spring of your throat chakra and bathe in here, feeling the vibration of your throat, feeling the vibration of your voice, your breath, your sounds. And know that your throat is deep. It is vast. It is infinite, just like your heart. So anytime you are ready and you want to get to know yourself, your life and the meaning, to create more meaning for you, you can dive deeply into your throat. Maybe diving down into your throat so far that you reach your heart. Swimming in this ocean of your heart and throat. Learning, discovering, uncovering, working out who you are. What are your likes and your dislikes? What are you passionate about? What's important to you as far as your values, your morals? What is it that makes you tick? Just take a nice big breath now. We're just preparing to come back. So feel the love, the support, and the comfort that there is to be found in your throat. It's not a place to ignore or deny or avoid. That what you have to say and what you have to express or create, or what you decide about the meaning of life for you, what your truth is valuable. It's valuable to you. Whether it's valuable to others or not is irrelevant. It's about finding that meaning personally. So nice big breath now as we prepare to come back into our body in the here and now. So start becoming aware of your surroundings. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And slowly open your eyes if you had them closed. And check in now and see how you feel, especially in the throat. But how are you feeling from sort of like the throat down? So the support, your throat supporting the rest of our body. So how are you feeling? I feel really open in the throat. I feel like something opened up, and there feels to be incredible support that I'm feeling. It's incredible support and comfortableness. Because usually, or sometimes, especially if we're triggered by things or we're not feeling comfortable here, we can feel really uncomfortable with our throat, really uncomfortable with our voice, really uncomfortable expressing ourselves. But it is such an important part of being a human, is expression. But remember, it's not just limited by verbal words. That's just a part of it. So one of the best things that helped open up my throat chakra and my confidence, probably about 5 years ago, was joining a choir. And I'm not really a brilliant singer, but I do know music and I can keep things in time and I can tone if I hear a sound fairly well. So choir and being in a group where, you know, it's not solo or anything, you're not out there on your own, but being in a group of others who love to sing was wonderful as far as opening my throat chakra to another level. And then that was a stepping stone for me personally to take up my musical instrument again and start playing the trumpet more. So I'm not actually in a choir now. I'm too busy in 3 different bands. But music, whether it's through singing or playing a musical instrument, these are great ways of expressing ourselves. And we almost get lost in, it's so great for the mind. So we get lost in the focus of the music. So instead of having worries rolling around our head and stresses, when we're in a choir and we're learning songs are rolling around in our head, and I can tell you it's so much more pleasant. Or for me now playing the trumpet, not only playing the trumpet, but the actual exercise of going to rehearsals, playing in a gig, even practicing at home, everything that's going on in my life is just shut out. I'm just completely focused on reading the music, making the best sound that I can, and be as emotionally expressive through my sound that I create as I can. So everything gets switched off when you're in those moments of music. So if you're open to it and you want to build your confidence in your throat chakra, I highly recommend choir singing. It worked for me, it might not work for you, but it's a great way of expressing. So thank you. Let's I'll get ready to pull a card for our forward movement from here, but thank you so much for joining me. I trust this has been helpful. It's been a lot more personal, my personal experience than the other chakras, but that's just the nature of the throat chakra for me. The next one is the third eye. This is our sixth one up here, and it's our center for vision, intuition, and trust. So we'll be exploring that on Monday. That's this coming Monday. So keep an eye in the events tab if you're watching this live. We'll be exploring that, so that will be exciting. If you have any questions about today, about this connection, or about the chakras, or if you've got anything that you'd like to share, please don't hesitate to send us a message through our website at templeofbalance.com.au. Now I'm looking for the best healing energy card to represent our forward movement from here, but especially in regards to the throat chakra, our expressing ourselves, our truth, and how to tap into that, how to discover that, how to work it out, what our truth is. And I mean, truth is another whole big subject. What time is it? Because it is really important for the throat. I wonder if I can just touch on the throat truth for just a couple of minutes. But it is a big topic, but it does come back to the throat chakra. So I'm kind of feeling that I'll just tap on it a little bit. So our truth. So truth has been a really important thing for me. Not only being honest with myself, being honest with others, as honest as I can be in those moments. But also getting to know the truth of who I am. And what I realized is that we are made up of a concoction or a confusion or a jumbled mess of beliefs that we've learned throughout our life. And beliefs, what I've noticed is that they tend to be told to us. So they are, might be something a parent figure might say when we're younger, saying that we're not good enough or we're not worthy or we should always put other people first. Those types of things. So it could be parent figures that were telling us a lot when we were younger, the type of person that we should be. It could also be institutions or school, like schools, religious groups, places, that a body, an institution that, I don't know if pushes or convinces. They might quite believe what they're saying, share or express or try and educate us on certain ways or certain things, even things to do with history, that they may even believe but may not necessarily be true. So beliefs are usually things that we are told that we then believe. So they're not usually based on experience. So things like history, I mean, we weren't there, we weren't alive there, so we can only believe what the history books say, and the history books are only usually written by one side of the story. The victors usually write the history books, or so there's usually it's usually tainted. It's not necessarily truth. I mean, truth really is a perceptual thing anyway. So I think we've had to be careful that we don't take on beliefs as a fact when we don't have any experience in whether these things are true for us or not. So a lot of us, as we've become adults, have had to break down these old threads of beliefs that have created the person that we are, that we believed we had to be this type of person or that type of person, or we couldn't be this or we couldn't be that because of whatever we'd been told and whatever we had come to believe. The interesting thing with beliefs is they are stubborn, they are rigid, they are fixed. So we will usually, in a weird, strange way, defend our beliefs even though we've been told them, even though we don't have the experience in that belief, that someone told us this that we believed was true. I'm not saying that it's not necessarily true, or whether it's true or not. It's about us being told from another person outside of us, or a book we may have read, or a news station we might be watching. So we will strangely defend our beliefs. It's a really strange thing to observe, is us defending our beliefs that aren't even our truth, that we've come to believe because someone told us, or it was told to us. So believing that we're not worthy because we were told as a child that we're not worthy, and maybe we saw it demonstrated in our role models, our parent figures, that they didn't feel worthy either. So they were feeling quite small about themselves, and we watched this, we were told this, and then so we grew up also thinking that we're not worthy. And so then this becomes a belief which usually we strangely defend. So when someone might challenge that belief, we get our back up, we get defensive. So a belief is very much different to a truth. So what I've found is I've had to strip back a lot of my beliefs, things that I'd been told that just didn't resonate as truth for me. So, and you know, I guess one thing that comes to mind that I've been talking about during this sharing for this particular chakra is the strange phase I went through of being sarcastic, because I learned that from a parent figure. So I had to basically break that belief down, break that way of being and that way of communicating, because I realized it wasn't healthy and it wasn't my truth. So as we break down our beliefs, as we recognize that, hey, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true for me, and it's just holding me back or limiting me, or I feel stubborn and rigid by that. So it's good to question anything that we've become hard, fixed and rigid about. Anything that we believe to be true, but we may not have experience with it. So it's good to question it and just work out, is this something that's true for us, or is this something that's not true for us? So we have a belief that's fixed and rigid. We have a truth. To me, our truths are flexible. They are perceptional. So they're based on, or what I've found is based on how the truth that's right for us at the time. So depending on the space that we're in will depend on what that truth feels like. Or how that truth is. As we grow and learn and understand ourselves better and see more of the bigger picture, then our truth, even truths that we'd had before, they grow or they change. And we know that it's not a belief because we're letting them grow and change. Whereas the belief is rigid, it's stuck, it's a structure, it's unbreakable, it's carved in stone. So can you feel the difference? A truth is more flexible, it's fluent, it adjusts and adapts to our growth and our journey. So for me, this feels true for me right now and has for quite a while, but maybe tomorrow or next year, my truth around this may change because I'm always feeling for improving myself. So that means I have to be willing to let my truths go and become better versions of themselves if they don't resonate any longer. So our truths grow, they empower, they lift us up. We don't feel that we have to force them or push them or convince other people to believe what we believe, because it's a truth. So truth, I feel, comes from more of a language of trust rather than believe me or you can trust me, trying to convince someone to believe what I'm saying. So that's a belief, if we have to do that. That's what I've noticed. So our truths, we're more okay to sit in. We're okay to sit back in those family gatherings and not have to preach or try and convince other people that we're right. Our belief is right. Our truth is right. We wouldn't have to do that if it was a real truth. So in our real truth, we can sit in our space and be comfortable. We can be comfortable letting other people have their truths and their beliefs. We're not at war, trying to defend, all these people defending their beliefs. So like religions, a lot of religions, big wars are fought over religion. So if it was a truth, would there really be a war that needs to be fought? If they're beliefs that are rigid and fixed, then yes, there's going to be butting heads. So working out the difference between our beliefs and our truths, a truth is really valuable. That people talk about universal truths. I've never experienced it. So as far as I'm concerned in this moment, I don't feel that there are universal truths that everyone believes in. I feel that it's personal truths based on our perspective at the time. As we let ourselves grow and evolve, then our truths grow and evolve and change too. And that's okay. That's the space I'm in right now as far as truth goes. So I trust that might help a little bit, but it does connect with the throat chakra. So important to talk about. So now let's look for the best card for our forward movement from here. So what do we need to know about what's next, especially in regards to our throat chakra, our truth, our expression, feeling safe, all these things. We have Goddess Awakening. Look out. So this is card 11. It says it's time. It's time now to walk through into the unknown. And there's a big unknown element about the throat chakra too. See, I could talk about this all day. The throat chakra I'm really, really passionate about, have stacks of experience with. It's time to walk through into the unknown. You are being guided to birth new things. We could also say birth new truths, embrace change, and welcome the power of now. This is you, this is us as individuals, honouring our space as an individual. I honour the space I'm in now. I honour the space you're in now. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be angry or upset with you if you don't believe what I'm saying, because I don't have beliefs attached to this or expectations. I'm just being who I am as openly and honestly as I can, and I trust you might be doing the same, holding each other in this space of support and love as we as individuals stand here in the doorway of change, the doorway that leads us to new beginnings. What if new beginnings started from the throat? What if an important part of stepping into the new was our throat chakra? Getting to know our truth, who we are, expressing that, hey, I want to try something new. Hey, I want to start developing a new passion for something. So I'm really curious about singing or a musical instrument or exercise or colour or something that I'm curious about. I find I follow my curiosities a lot. So if I'm curious about something, I'll kind of explore it a little bit. Do I want to take this to the next step? Do I want to see where this goes? So following our curiosities can be a great way of pulling us into new things, new experiences. There's nothing to be afraid of because we're feeling comfortable in our skin. We're getting to know more of who we are. We're breaking down those rigid beliefs and structures that told us who we were or told us who we are. And we're starting to work it out for ourselves. So we don't feel as afraid of the unknown as we perhaps used to. Because the beliefs are holding us rigid and fixed. So of course, they don't want us to change or improve or be flexible. We have to stay inside the box. So as we realise that we don't need the box, that we don't need those beliefs and those structures that have been keeping us in the form that we are, that we're actually more free-flowing wild spirits than that, we become less afraid of the unknown, the blackened doorway. We become pregnant with curiosities, new beginnings, new ideas, truths that we're discovering and feel excited and passionate about all the time. So we find the courage too to step through into the unknown. So big energy and potential for us to really work with this deeper and deeper. There's a lot of depth in the throat. There's so much more I could talk about too, but I do feel okay with everything that I've shared. I don't feel like there's anything that's a burning desire like the belief truth thing. So I feel content with what's been shared, but there is so much more to discover and explore about who we are through this powerful center here. So thank you so much for connecting. I trust that you feel great and you've been inspired, and that you can do some healing and clearing through your throat chakra too. So I look forward to connecting with you next time for the third eye. And yeah, thank you. Sending you lots of love from my heart to yours. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and happy throat chakra healing and being. Thank you. Namaste. Bye for now.